Graham Ramina with Fansided's HiddenRemote.com. Today we're talking season 3 of Barry playing the role of Fuches. Obviously, Stephen Root. Stephen, very excited to be talking today. How are you?
Oh, thanks. I'm good. I'm good. We're excited after 75 years to be back.
That was my first question for you. Does it feel like it's been 3 years? It feels like it's been 75, like you said. Talk a little bit about that downtime. It's crazy.
Feels like it's so long, but these scripts are so well written that it's easy to get back to them. You've had 2 years of really good backstory anyway, so it was easy and fun to get back.
Do you think it actually adds to the suspense with the way that the second season ended? Like, it makes us want to see that much more what's going to be happening next with your character and really just everything else on the show. It was a great cliffhanger at the end of that season. It makes me that much more excited now. I'm sure I would have been as excited a year ago, but I feel like I'm even more excited now a year later because it's been 3 years since we last saw these characters.
Forever. Yeah, I have neighbors yelling at me from their windows. When? And I said, well, okay, it's April now. Oh, okay, finally. Yeah, but it feels like forever, but gosh, it's a little odd for me as an actor this year, just because I'm not working with a regular crew. The Fuchs character is kind of isolated this year, working with different actors, not necessarily the ones in the show. So that's been a little strange, but kind of great.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And we're going to be seeing more of that development after what we saw in season 2 in this next season. And I think more people are going to be finding out exactly what you're talking about as the episodes air in the weeks to come. But going back to what you just said about your neighbors yelling at you through the window, can you talk a little bit about that and like the feedback that you've gotten from friends and family and stuff like that, as far as your role on the show and how they're kind of watching along and stuff like that?
Well, mostly the friends that I've had in New York and saw me do a lot of theater stuff come up to me for this role and say, I don't know if I like you now. And I go, it's not me. It's this guy. I can't, he does what he does. But this season is all about kind of, pardon me for 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
Been talking for a long time today.
Take your time.
I'm gonna have 1 sip of water and I'll be
right. Go right ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. People have been so excited to come, want this to come back, and we've all wanted it so much. It's almost I don't know. You know what? Start the question again, and then it'll be easier for me.
Yeah, no problem. No, I was just wondering. You talked about your friends in New York and how they're kind of watching along with the show and stuff like that. How they may not necessarily like you now, which is funny. Is there any part of the Fuchs character that you feel like you can relate to, or is the fact that he's so wildly different from who you are in reality is what makes it so much easier to play for?
Yeah, I don't know if it makes it easier, but it's I've had so much theater training, a lot of Shakespeare, done tragedies and comedies, and I really strangely didn't get into film and TV until my late 30s, because I was doing all theater all the time. So it's been kind of great to be able to do very small work as I get further into my career, and it's different than theater. It's almost more pleasurable. I also do a lot of animation work, voice work, and that's kind of replaced theater for me, because as you say, it's really hard to book it out, but it's always fun to do. I think the Fuchs character is, unfortunately, his arc this year is this. He's not it's straight. It's straight revenge this year. He's finally to the point where, even though it was of his own doing, he's got to get back at Barry, and he does it in such an interesting way because they've written this so that it connects with season 1, his kind of brutal revenge that he has on Barry.
Yeah, and I mean, throughout the seasons too, it's interesting because we really don't know a lot. Even at this current point in time, going into the third season, we don't know a lot about Fuches's backstory. Like, do you
Right.
know any more as viewers than we do to kind of give you more inspiration for the role, or do you kind of know as much as we do? I guess from a viewing
No,
standpoint.
we know a little bit about him, but we
Yeah,
mostly what we know about him is that he was the guy that stepped up after Barry, got out of the military. And
yeah.
what we didn't know was how badly his PTSD was gonna affect him. I mean, and in this season, it's to the point of hallucinations and bad decisions, and he's kind of going down a rabbit hole. So I think as dark as season 3 can get, it has to go that way if you're dealing with a character that has, that disease.
Yeah, and I mean, you talked about before how you've had such a cool career between the theater stuff, doing animation. I think if people look at your filmography, they'd be shocked to see how much stuff you've actually been in that they're aware of and that they've been watching and following, which is cool. Even for someone like me, I'm 25, 26, and I mean, I've been following your stuff for years, and just obviously following you and Barry now, it's been cool to see. But kind of going off that, you mentioned the theater experience. I think
Yeah.
anyone who follows Fuchs on the show can see that theater experience in your character because you nail it so incredibly well. Was it really just that, or was there any one character or any one role that you've seen elsewhere that helped you inspire for this role of Barry that kind of gave you some inspiration for it a little bit?
Nothing, no one thing specifically, but it,
Yeah.
it is all the Shakespeare stuff because that's where sitcoms began. That's where
Yeah.
drama began. And on all that goes into play. But not having been on film until I was in my late 30s, it was a learning process for me to go from back of the house
Yeah.
projection to what are you doing? Very, very small stuff. And that's always a learning experience. That's always what I wanted to have as a character actor. I want to learn something in everything that I'm going to do. I want to be nervous if I think, ooh, maybe, ooh, I don't know if I can do that. So, one of those things that I took was True Blood.
Mhm.
When do you get to play a gay vampire? That's okay. I'm a little scared of that. Okay, let's do that. So you should always kind of, as a character actor, I think, walk the line of stuff that you think maybe, I don't know. Well, okay, I have to do it because I'm a little scared of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where you typically tend to do your best work. I mean, just in general. And we're seeing that now
I
with
think
Fuchs.
everybody does.
Yeah.
If they're walking the line a little bit, they got to put it.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, you mentioned too how you just talked about right there. You kind of try to take roles where you can learn something and take
Right.
stuff away and have takeaways. What's like the biggest thing that you feel like you've learned from playing Fuchs on Barry the last couple of years?
Uh, Improv skills, because I didn't come from that.
Mm-hmm.
I came from theater. So having Anthony Kerrigan, who plays NoHo Hank, has come from that. Bill has come from that. Henry came from theater like me. But I think being able to be more comfortable with Bill coming to the set and going, nah, I don't like it. What would you say? And then having to be, again, you're walking the line. You're just going, well, I think I'd say this. Oh, okay. And I'd say this. It was unusual for me, but I feel more comfortable with it now. So I feel like I've learned a little bit of improv skills from the last couple of 3 seasons.
The chemistry that you have with Anthony and with Bill as well on the show is just fantastic. And there's so many funny moments too, because obviously just based on all the other roles you've had over the course of your illustrious career, you could do the comedy stuff. And as we see on the show, you could do the serious stuff as well. We get a nice mix of that with Fuchs. Is it hard to not laugh sometimes when you're on set with like Anthony and Bill and some of the scenes you guys are doing in the last couple of seasons?
Always, always. And Bill will tell you he's the worst. He's
Yeah.
absolutely the worst. His shoulders will be shaking. He'll be he will ruin many takes because he's laughing. But how wonderful is that to hear that? Yeah, and you can't look at Anthony without breaking up, because he's so wonderfully serious about what he's doing. His comedy is so subtle and so so
Yeah.
in the moment. I remember there's one thing where in season 1 he had he had gotten shot. He'd gotten shot in the pilot. He was
in the
actually supposed to
rooftop,
die
right?
in the pilot. He was supposed to die in the pilot. He didn't do it.
Oh,
They
wow.
brought him back because he was too good. He was Bill said, no, he's coming back. So he came back, and we're doing a scene where he's been shot. He still has some of that in him, and he kneels down to me. I'm with my hands behind my back, and we're talking, but he kneels down to me, and he does this whole thing of, and his attention to detail of like, I've been shot. This is how I would move, but it's fucking funny. Fantastic. So you can't not love Anthony. I mean, he's just brilliant, really amazing.
We're getting more of them in season 3, and I'm looking forward to that too, obviously, in addition to Fuches and everyone else on the show. Last 2 questions for you, Steven. At this point in your career, as we go into season 3 of Barry, what do you feel like you're most recognized from when people run into you in public or see you? What are they like? Are they like, oh, that's Fuches from Barry, or from, Office Space, or whatever it is at this point?
Well, yeah, I'll get some Barry, but it's almost always Office Space.
Is it? Yeah.
That seems like that's a movie has a new generation of fans every 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what the computers look like. It's a great story. It's one of the first Office comedies.
Yeah.
It was a precursor to that. And it's Mike Judge. And I owe a lot to Mike Judge, just from King of the Hill, from Office Space, from Idiocracy, everything else. So what's great is being able to work with people more than once, and being able to get into their heads very easily. That's why I've been so lucky working with the Coen brothers so many times, because you can short speak with them.
Yeah, no, we've seen that over the course of your career with a lot of the same similarities in terms of the people that you're working with. And we're seeing that now with Barry, which is awesome. And as we wind down here, there's been so many great episodes of Barry. And I think there's only maybe been 16 up to this point, 8 from season 1, 8 from season
crazy,
2.
Right?
Which is wild. You would think that, and they were only 30 minutes too. So it's such a breeze to get through, which is incredible. Do you have any one favorite episode? Like for me, it was the Ronnie Lily episode.
Ronnie Lily has to be my favorite.
It has to be, right?
Yeah, it has to be, just because she was so brilliant. That little girl was so brilliant. She did all her stunts. We worked so hard on the car stuff. It was a hard episode to shoot, and we saved it to the end of the season. We literally went from 4, skipped it, went to 6, shot all that, and then went and shot 5, because we knew how hard it was going to be to shoot it. And as hard as it was a blast, because I've never seen action fights like that. I've never seen shots like that. So Bill did an amazing job just directing that episode, let alone the work he did as an actor in it.
Yeah, and your involvement in it was great as well. I think that's worth a rewatch for everyone before season 3 kicks off on April 24th.
To me, I think I'll do it too.
We're all gonna have to watch it together. It's a great episode, and we're gonna look forward to season 3 dropping April 24th on HBO. Steven, this has been great. It's a pleasure and an honor to speak with you today, and I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.